But statement number one, and this is one, if you want to talk about ruffling feathers, no matter who you say, you're going to ruffle some feathers with this one. Because the most overrated team through 5 rounds is blank. I'm so sorry for setting you up like this, but also I take a little bit of joy in it.
I was very fascinated when I saw your rundown sheet with this. I was like, ooh, overrated. How do I want to approach this? So I'm gonna go overrated, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it from the start of the season. Okay. The most overrated team, honestly, in my opinion, is a tie between the Richmond Tigers and the Western Bulldogs right now.
I definitely didn't make that mistake.
They're the two most overrated teams because they're two teams that every pundit that you listen to, even yours truly, had in the finals. I had both teams in the finals. Yeah. I had both teams easily in the finals. Yeah. And right now, they are not playing the type of footy that's going to get them into the finals. Now, do I think the Western Bulldogs have had kind of a murderer's row with the early part of the season with a nice little stretch game? Like I said, I think in the last one, I think they've got a nice little stretch of games they can win. So it's Richmond right now is the team that I'm disappointed with because I think they've had some winnable games that they've dropped.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Falling to Adelaide, I think, has hurt them.
That was a bad
big
loss.
Time.
That was a bad loss.
They've had injuries, but this is a team that for the longest time was a next man up type of team. They literally somebody'd step in and they'd be just fine.
That's how they won all those
last year and this year.
Exactly how they won those. They weren't pretty teams. They weren't completely healthy through those. They were just a really well-rounded, in-depth team. Also, they had some fantastic talent on the top lines, but that. Yeah, but
they were very workmanlike in the overall group. If you really look at it, they were very workmanlike. Yes, they had Dusty. Yes, they had Jack Rewalt. Yes, they had Dylan Grimes. They had some stars, but they didn't have the superstar level. I mean, they don't have the Melbourne Demons, Max Gawn, Petrarca, Oliver, Ben Brown, Stephen May, Jake Lever. They didn't have 7 stars with 2 on each line. No, they had 3 or 4, and then they had a lot of really good role players that played their role perfectly. So I'm gonna say the Tigers overall, just because I think they've underperformed for the first 5 games. Again, still a lot of seasons still to be played, but right now this is a Tigers team that a lot of pundits, the dynasty is over. They're not going to win a flag this year. They're not going to win a flag anytime soon if the D's stay where they are, if Brisbane stays healthy, as you kind of stated, if Sydney can keep their youth together. Yeah. I think the dynasty days of the Tigers is over. And I hate saying that because it was such a cool thing to watch this team kind of come like a phoenix and just erupt in 2017 and then become just a terror throughout the competition for the next 5 years. So we look at that. So Richmond Tigers right now, I would say overrated team as we speak as of right now.
One name I would like to throw out there real quick before we get to the next one is, especially maybe it's just recency bias, but also you've seen a little bit, the Geelong Cats. The round 5 did worry me with that loss to Hawthorn. Of course, we talked about the controversy with it, but it affected both teams there. I don't know if I'm 100% sold on them right now at this point. There's a little bit of worry.
Well, and they've been up and down. I mean, you look at that first game against Essendon.
Perfect.
But then again, though, you kind of look back at it now in hindsight and go, "Whoa, Essendon wasn't as good as we thought."
No.
So that kind of takes. Yes, you get an emotional Sydney that's trying to get everything with the Buddy thing, and I think the emotion and everything that kind of happened, the way the round 2 game with Buddy kicking 1,000, everything like that was just a bad game for the Cats, both on field and off field, just because they couldn't kick straight worth a darn, and Sydney was hot as a firecracker, and it was emotional with Buddy kicking 1,000. So, and then you go to game 3, they win game 3, which I'm totally and completely brain farting right now on what that was.
Well, if you keep talking, just keep making time, I'll be able to help you with this one, because this is something that I'm perfect with when it comes to just talking about stuff and elongating it, so you can actually see who they play, especially with the Cats, of course. They beat the Geelong Cats, of course, they beat Collingwood by 13. And so that's exactly what happened. I didn't have to look that up at all.
Yep. No, yep. So rounds 3 and rounds 4, they win with wins over Collingwood and then that win over Brisbane down at home. But then a tough game that, again, a Hawthorn team that
They could be good.
A lot of
I'm not sure. They could be good.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. That's the thing. Hawthorn is still kind of that team, that enigma team. We're not 100%. Are they benefiting from some winnable games early in the season, or are they legitimately a contender to try to make finals? Like that's kind of, we sit in this weird malaise when it comes to Hawthorn. So it's like this loss if we get to later on in the season and Hawthorn is 7th or 6th on the ladder, this doesn't look as bad a loss for the Cats as, say, if the bottom falls out of Hawthorn over the next 5 weeks and they drop to 14. Like that's kind of the thing that we sit here. It's like Geelong again is kind of, they're going to kind of be a benefit of how some of the teams they have played go. It's like Brisbane. I think that Brisbane the Cats play really, really well at Kardinia Park. And they had a great game plan, and they found a way to knock off the Lions. A Collingwood team that at the time that they played each other, Collingwood was playing better. Geelong coming off the loss to Sydney where they didn't play very well. So it's like the Cats are a team that I can kind of see that being that overrated team, because I think they were a team that a lot of people penciled into the finals and were like, yeah, they're too good not to make it. But there were some pundits that questioned the age profile. They questioned what
can I count
what are they going to do? Yeah, I would count you. I remember that was one of the things, and I think we even discussed it in the preseason. Like there were a couple of times when I was first making my ladder, I had Geelong out because I wasn't sure if their profile of their team being a little bit more experienced, shall we say.
I think for either team in this situation, going from the Geelong and Hawthorn game, either team here, these next 5 rounds may very well determine the kind of team they are. These first 5 have been a slight indicator, but both of them can go from being in the finals to being at the bottom of the league. And honestly, I wouldn't be too shocked. It's almost crazy the amount of just. It feels like these teams are in the twilight zone. I have no idea what to fully think about them. Like I think Geelong's a good team, but I'm not sure. I think Hawthorn's a bad team, but I'm not sure. It's so weird. And so what's going to happen? Of course, Hawthorn's going to make the top 4. Geelong's going to drop out because that's what happens.
Let's kind of put Hawthorn in context a little bit, okay? So they've played 5 games and they're 3-2, but they're 3 wins over 18th place Port Adelaide, 17th place North Melbourne, and then Geelong. Their 2 losses are to 6th place Carlton and 4th place St Kilda. And St Kilda was a drubbing 142-73 in round 4.
So they have some easy
wins. So that's
win,
what I mean.
2 good losses. Well, 1 good loss, 1 bad loss.
1 good loss, the 1-point loss to Carlton, which I think Carlton is a finals team right now. And so that's a good loss, but then again, though, there's still some questions.
So both those wins and losses exactly balance out. There's still a 50-50 team after that. It's so weird.
But that's what I mean is we still don't know. Where it's like, and now here's Hawthorn's next little run. Is their next 2 games are difficult. They have Sydney. Yes, it's at Utah Stadium, but that's not an easy matchup. And then Melbourne the week after. So the next 2 games, and then it's a run of Essendon, Richmond, Brisbane, Gold Coast, to get us to round 10. So if you give or take on that, you look at it, right now going on present form, you'd think they'd beat Essendon. I think Richmond's a toss-up. I think you probably lose to Brisbane. You probably lose to the Demons. You probably lose to the Swans, but you just don't know. They tend to play Tassie really well. So this is I think a little bit closer game than I think some people are talking about against the Swans. Common knowledge, most people are tipping the Swans, but there are a few people taking the risk and tipping Hawthorn because of their stellar record.
That's a good underdog team to tip. That's a good one.
Exactly. And that gets you to round 10, but then it's like once you get after round 10, Collingwood, Fremantle, Western, GWS, Adelaide, West Coast. I mean, you get North twice, you get Gold Coast twice, you get Richmond twice. So, I mean, this is a Hawthorn team again. A lot of the bulk of their tough games are still on their schedule. So we'll have to see. But I think that's the reason why I look at Geelong a little bit with kind of half glass, half full, half empty, because a few of their games, it depends on how the teams do. I think it's going to depend on how we kind of look at that. If Hawthorn, like I said, rolls on and makes the finals, that loss doesn't seem as ugly as, say, if Hawthorn's bottom falls out and finishes 14th. So
it will almost be a good loss
see
in a way.
Yeah, so I can see Geelong being a team that some people would think is overrated again. So
also depends on how to be overrated. It also depends on how much you gauge them being looked on favorably. So it's definitely a little bit of a subjective one. This is.